Good day. My name is Gary and I am making this video to address all of the Yamaha Genos 1 and Genos 2 users and owners who are concerned that there is only 3 gigabytes of expansion memory available to each one of you. There is a gentleman in the Genos community on YouTube that I am sure many of you are familiar with. He posted a video recently on the upgrade to the Genos 1.2.0 operating system, and he was concerned that Yamaha had not gone ahead and upgraded the sample memory, the expansion memory, beyond 3 gigabytes. I posted a response on his YouTube page, which he deleted. The gentleman apparently does not like the fact that I prefer Korg keyboards over Yamaha keyboards. I am not saying that there's anything wrong with the Genos. I don't think there is. I think it's a fantastic keyboard. If you are playing out in a small setting, I think it's probably one of the best keyboards out there that you can get. I have no problems with Genos. I just happen to think the Korg PA5X is better. Now, if you can see the keyboard behind me, that is a very old Korg PA800, and the reason that I have not upgraded that, of course, is because I am pushing 68 years old. I have been unemployed for 19 months. I am living on Social Security here in the United States. The house that I live in, I rent a room from a friend of mine because I cannot afford anything else. My annual income is about $24,000 US. Which is very little and does not allow me the opportunity to purchase a new Korg PA5X76, which is what I would very much like to own. Having said that, the gentleman and I have had what I thought were friendly disagreements in the past, and he has gone ahead and just decided that he needs to delete anything that I've posted on his website. Having said that, let's get into the why and wherefore of the limitation of 3 gigabytes of memory expansion on the Genos 1 and 2. I have a series of slides. The first slide that I'm showing you is an overview of the processor. A Texas Instrument processor, and this is a single core 32-bit processor. This next slide, I have highlighted the sample memory, the eMMC1, and you can see that it says 4 gigabytes. In the second slide, or in the third slide actually, I've highlighted in green the storage area of the processor, and you can see that that is 64 gigabytes. Yamaha says that you can have 15 gigabytes of storage, so I'm assuming that this is a shared area. I do not have the repair manual or the documentation for this in front of me. What I'm giving to you is what I've seen online and what I've researched online. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So, many of the people responding wanted to know why there was a limitation of only 4 gigabytes or 3 gigabytes of information. And again, this is my assumption, so bear with me. When you turn on your computer in the morning, it takes a while for it to come up. It doesn't immediately just automatically come up. And the reason for that is information is being loaded into the memory, the RAM of the computer. And it takes a bit to do that. And the more information, the more RAM that you have, the longer it takes. And so it can take anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 or 3 minutes, depending on how much RAM you have and how much data is going into your startup. The same applies here in this situation with the Yamaha keyboard. When you start up, the operating system has to be loaded into the memory. The sounds that you are using have to be loaded into the memory. And this includes not only the 4 sounds, 3 in the upper and 1 in the lower, but also all of your backing tracks, and all 16 channels worth of sounds have to be loaded in there. Your registration memory has to be loaded in there. Your one-touch settings have to be loaded in there. And the more information, your styles, all your style parameters have to be loaded into there. And it just takes a while for it to happen. And they apparently have allocated about 1 gigabyte of data out of the 4 available for loading all of this information, which leaves you 3 gigabytes of expansion memory for loading your expansion sounds. Now, don't hold me to this, but if you are loading styles, I believe that the styles are not loaded to the expansion memory, but to the storage. And when you select a different style, it pulls that information out of the storage and puts it into the memory, deleting the style information from the previous style. As I said, don't hold me to that. I'm not exactly sure, but that is the way that would make sense to me, and that's the way that I would do it. Since you're not going to be streaming live data to the style. So, why 4 gigabytes? This is the important aspect of it. When computers, home computers, personal computers started coming out back in the 1970s, they had 8-bit processors in them. And the number of bits that a computer has, or in a processor, limits the amount of information from RAM that it can read. So an 8-bit processor, you can only get 64 gigabytes of, I'm sorry, 64 kilobytes of memory. And then we went on to 16-bit processors, and I believe that was 32 megabytes. And from there on, we went to 32-bit processor. And the 32-bit processor has a limitation of 4 gigabytes. Some of the people said, well, there's room inside the Genos. You could put all sorts of RAM and stuff in there. Yes, you could. The problem is that the processor could not access it. It is unavailable for it to see anything beyond 64, or beyond 4 gigabytes. In a 64-bit processor, that restriction goes way up. In fact, a 64-bit processor could easily access 16 exabytes, or in other words, 16 million terabytes of information. Now, they don't do that. It's kind of hard to implement it and have all that RAM and all that access. And there are other circuits in computers that really don't do well with that. This is why today you'll see personal computers that'll have 32, 64, 128, even 256 gigabytes of RAM. And you can have a great deal of information in the RAM instead of having to draw it off the hard drive and so forth. If you want to see anything beyond a 4 gigabyte memory expansion, Yamaha will have to design a new keyboard. The Genos 2 is evolutionary from the Genos 1. It contains the same processor, it contains basically the same operating system, the sounds are different, and some other new features have been added. But when you get down to the hardware level, it's very, very similar. And because it is a 32-bit processor, it is limited to 4 gigabytes. Yamaha would need to design the Genos 3 with a 64-bit processor. And at that point, you can start adding RAM beyond 4 gigabytes. So I appreciate that people don't like to, have to change out the RAM or the expansion memory RAM when they want to put in a new sound. I get that. My solution to that would be something like this. A SSD, 500 gigabyte SSD, or a 500 gigabyte 2.5-inch hard drive. Plugged into one of the USB ports on the back of the Genos, it would allow you to store all of your expansion memory packs for sounds on that, and then you would be able to unload the previous sounds that you've put in there and put in new sounds. That is not going to be accessible by the processor for live play. It just is not going to happen. So, like the storage system on the Genos, you can move things from that to your expansion memory, but you're not going to be able to do anything else with it. You're not going to be able to supplant the expansion memory to draw from it at the same time. So I'm going to put this out there, and I hope that owners of Genos 1 and Genos 2 will see it and will take the information that I've shown you here and will find it useful and informative, and that it will help you along your way in getting what you want from your Genos and understanding why you can't get anything else from your Genos. I thank you for staying through the video this long, and I wish you an absolutely wonderful day. Thank you.